So back in August of 2024, Google, the company that's the heart of my business as a YouTube ads agency owner, they lost a monopoly case. And it was just yesterday that the Department of Justice released a proposal, proposed things that they may force Google to do in order to break the monopoly. And I am finding this fascinating because it could have significant ramifications for any of us that are advertising on Google, including us, all of us that are advertising on YouTube. So in case you're not familiar with the case, to get you up to speed, the crux of it is that Google is far too dominant in the search space. When quantified, they control about 89.2% of the market, and that's for all platforms, so mobile, desktop, tablet, etc. And specifically on mobile, they control about 94.9%. Now, the DOJ posits that this isn't because Google has a superior product, but more because they're essentially forcing users to use Google search in direct and indirect ways. So, as an example, with Chrome, according to the DOJ, this is the gateway to the internet. With Chrome, whenever you run a search for something, it automatically pops you over into a Google search. And at the same time, Google is investing millions and millions of dollars with other companies so that they make Google search the default. So they're investing with Samsung, they're investing with Apple, and they are essentially making it very difficult for competing search companies to really get a foothold in the space. This is according to the DOJ. Of course, Google feels completely different. In this Google blog post, they talk about how it's a considerable overreach by the DOJ, wildly overbroad proposal, goes miles beyond the court's decision. And according to Google, such a change, a breakup like the DOJ is proposing, would be harmful to us as users. And a lot of his idea, a lot of the positioning here is because everything is so interlaced. If the DOJ is to break it up, it means that the user experience will be considerably inferior. So that's the position from both places. According to the DOJ, though, it would actually end up being a really good thing for users because one of the hidden things that happen because Google controls search so dominantly is that the prices for advertisers ends up getting cranked up and there's no real transparency around it. This is something that the DOJ is aiming to remedy. So all of this is fascinating. The reality is that we're not going to see any real impact of any of this for years. Basically, next year is when they will continue the case. And let's see, Google's response will be on December 20th. And the ruling on these recommendations is expected in summer of 2025. And then, of course, there's going to be an appeal process and everything that will go beyond that. So we're not going to see any real difference in the very near future. But looking long term, this could have a massive impact. Google, for the past many, many years, has been driving hard towards an AI-driven traffic source and essentially creating gated communities, walled gardens around their data, around their users, and essentially removing as much control as possible from us as advertisers in the process, and selling that under the wrap of AI, right? From my perspective as a relatively sophisticated and advanced Google Ads advertiser, it hasn't really been a massive benefit for advertisers. Granted, this is an anecdotal, but when I compare the returns that we were getting before everything got super AI focused and it was more content driven, so like things like exact match keywords on search and placements on the display network and on YouTube. When I compare those results to the results that we get now, it's not like there's a night and day difference. Sure, it is a little bit easier to monitor and manage campaigns and accounts in general because a lot more of it is semi-automated. But when we're talking dollars to dollars in the bank, there hasn't really been a massive benefit for us as advertisers. Now for Google, of course, this has been a massive benefit. And for that reason, I find it so hard to believe that any of this will actually go through. Google's going to fight this tooth and nail because they have far too much to lose. They need these tools in place in order to harvest data from all of us, in order to use that data for advertisers to target in a way where we don't have the same level of visibility. And the only way that happens is if, they have access to as much of our activity on the internet as possible. So time will tell. It's going to be really interesting the next couple of years as a new administration is coming in. And outside of this antitrust case, all of the other antitrust cases that are running against people like Apple and Amazon. Does this mean that there is a change that is happening or will happen? I don't know. I think a lot of these companies are far too entrenched and they will fight far too long for it to matter to any of us. But either way, it's interesting and it's worth keeping an eye on. One other final note here. Maybe this will mean that some of the competitors will actually be able to start getting some more traction. And I think that's already starting to happen. So even right now, I have Perplexity open, which I love. And open ChatGPT's search is also pretty cool. Who knows how they'll end up monetizing these things outside of charging users for pro services. But either way, who knows? That's the beauty of this game that we play, this direct response marketing game. The only thing that stays the same is change. So with that said, that's it for this video. Hope you found it useful. Hope it gives you something new to research and keep an eye on. If you like this sort of content, go ahead and subscribe. I'll be releasing a lot more like this. And until the next one, I'll see you there.